Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and in today's video we're going to cover a bit of drama and controversy going on right now between a Reddit post and the well-known content creator Glad. Now, just as a precursor, this video is not designed in any way to roast Glad. I like him and I like his opinion on this take, in fact, so I'm actually in agreement with him. And simply put, I wanted to make this video because I wanted to cover the news and the story of what's going on here, and if you've seen the tweets on Twitter or if you've seen the Reddit post, I wanted to put it all together and compile it so that way this would be an easily digestible video, so that way you can understand what the issue at hand is. So let's start from the very beginning, and the first thing we're going to cover is a tweet by him saying, "I mean this with no disrespect at all, a Day 1 emblem shouldn't be a handout. It's the most prestigious PvE event in the game. It should reward preparation and hard work and time invested. When 5 to 6,000 teams get a Day 1 clear and world's first is 6+ hours, something is off in my opinion." Now, in my opinion, that's not really that spicy of a take. That's just his opinion, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And if you agree or disagree, that's totally fine. That's what Twitter's for. That's why we have this website, this essentially a public forum where we can discuss ideas and our opinions. And, you know, if you like them, you can agree with them. And if you dislike them, you can post a reply letting them know. And this is a sentiment that I also agree with. I think that the world's first being around 6 hours with 5,000 to 6,000 teams completing it is kind of an indicator that the raids have become a little bit easier than they were before. And if we look at the data here, this is almost objectively true. As I've mentioned before in a previous video, this is almost objectively true that the Deepstone Crypt was easier than previous raids. The only raid historically that had a higher success rate was Eater of Worlds, which was like the easiest of raids. Literally an LFG team got worlds first. This thing was practically a strike. Eater of Worlds is known as being one of the worst raids. I mean, this was the era of Curse of Osiris, which we all know was not the best time in the history of Destiny. It's more of the dark era, one in which we won't talk about too much. But looking at the data here, we can see that Eater had 2.6%, Deepstone Crypt had 1.9%, Scorch had 1.4%, Crown had 0.3%, Leviathan had 0.2%, Garden had 0.07%, Spire of Stars, which was an insanely difficult one, had 0.06%, and Last Wish had 0.01%. So extremely difficult, and pretty much objectively speaking, the Deepstone Crypt was a little bit easier than the previous raids. Now, there's a variety of different opinions that you can throw into this. Was this because of the contest modifier and 10 days prep time, a Saturday launch day? COVID is another factor, so there's a lot of people that are at home because of the pandemic. And overall, the good thing to look at with this is that there were 279,000 attempts, which means that's a lot of people playing Destiny, which everyone should be excited for, regardless of who you are, where you're from. If you like playing Destiny, seeing big numbers like this, 279,000 attempts, is a big win for everyone. But this isn't an issue of how successful it was or what the success rate was, and comparatively, this is really just an issue of what is your opinion on how difficult the new raid should be, and when the data comes out, will you be happy with it? And personally, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the way the data came out. I do think this raid was a little bit easier. I mean, just playing the raid myself, I feel like the boss is so easy. Like, I can melt the boss. I've had half my fire team die mid-boss encounter, and we still one-phased him so easily. I feel like the encounters in general and the ads really aren't that tough. Like, I can just mow through a variety of different ads. Even when I was in contest modifier, it wasn't that hard. So there just is, like, in my opinion, this raid just does feel significantly easier, and the data does seem to back it up that the raid is easier. But the problem with thinking that the raid is easier, and the reason why Glad's opinion got mixed up, was that saying that the raid is really, really easy and that 5 to 6,000 people getting the emblem is a problem essentially undermines the hard efforts of the 5 to 6,000 teams that actually went in and got that Day 1 emblem. And that is a very thin, tight rope to walk, because you don't want to offend all those people. It's not about offending the people that got the 24 emblem. It's just your opinion is that this raid just felt really easy, and it's a little bit frustrating. Like, we kind of want it to be more hardcore. Obviously, we're not going to get the Last Wish level of hardcore difficulty, and maybe this was too hardcore. Like, honestly, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Last Wish was just too hardcore? Because it does seem that way in some regard. Like, 2 clears in the first 24 hours, that's kind of insane. I don't think anyone really wants a raid to be that hardcore. Maybe some do, but if you do, that's okay. That's your opinion. Maybe you want it to be that hardcore. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want it there to be 5,000 plus clears. Maybe for the next raid, you want 10,000, 50,000 clears. Who knows? You're entitled to have your opinion on what you think is a successful 24-hour contest modifier raid launch. But a Reddit user made this post called "Glad's Day 1 emblem take is bad," and I'm going to give you the TLDR, which essentially says that there was basically poorly implemented power grind that was only manageable by people that just grinded Destiny endlessly. This was pre-contest modifier, so there were really only like a handful of people that could have even possibly beaten the raid at the time. And so with the addition of contest modifier, we're definitely going to see a lot more teams beating the raids. And another fair point made here is that there's often a lot of bugs in these raids within the first 24 hours, like the Garden of Salvation bugs that existed made it really, really hard for some to actually acquire the 24-hour emblem. And essentially the post went on not to personally attack Glad in any way, but to essentially just pick apart the points that he thinks make that tweet very invalid. And a variety of people commented agreeing with him and disagreeing and so on and so forth. It blew up on Reddit. And so Glad tweeted out saying, "Bro, seeing the amount of energy some people will put into hurting someone and trying to completely ruin their life sometimes really lowers my hope. Taking a day or two off," to which one of the top commented replies was actually from someone saying, "You don't deserve death threats," which is obviously very fair. "You also don't get to undermine thousands of people and their friends for their 10+ hour achievement. Take a break, but don't come back expecting you did not do anything wrong. You don't get to have it both ways." Which is honestly, in my opinion, just the absolute peak Twitter right here. Of course, probably one of the most negative comments gets to become the most upvoted comment, and it says, "Don't come back expecting you didn't do anything wrong." The man had an opinion that the raid was too easy. Everyone's entitled to have their opinion. If you don't like the opinion, that's okay, but it's just an opinion. He didn't personally attack anyone. He didn't shit on anyone. And to those of you out there that do have the emblem, he even made an apology video where the guy pretty much just full-on apologizes for the entire thing, because tweets can often be taken out of context because it's a short message. And none of this was in any way meant to undermine the people that did get the 24-hour emblem. But the problem is that talking about one topic inherently affects the other topic. Talking about the raid being too easy and so many people getting the 24-hour emblem inherently attacks the people that got the 24-hour emblem. The two are just tied together. And that was pretty much the entirety of the controversy. Glad posted a tweet about his opinion about the difficulty of the raid. It was misconstrued as him undermining those that worked really, really hard to get that 24-hour emblem. And he apologized. And honestly speaking, I'm going to give my opinion here. Glad's a great guy. Everyone roasting him over having this opinion is super lame. I mean, even if it was a shitty opinion, it's fine. Everyone's allowed to have a shitty opinion once in a while. And unfortunately, in this topic, I myself am of the same opinion as him, because I'm sort of like in this grandfather category where I've been doing World's First Race for years and years and years and years. And I watched as they got progressively harder up to Last Wish, and then they've gotten progressively easier. And it's a bit frustrating for me and those of us who like that grind, that hardcoreness of the day one raid, of the 24-hour raid. But overall, this is a learning experience for myself and for countless others that do these day one raids. And overall, I just hope that people that did the day one raid and completed it, or people that did the day one raid and failed it, had a good time and enjoyed their Destiny experience and want to continue to play Destiny, because ultimately that's where we want everything to go. We want Destiny as a community to grow. And hopefully that's the end result from all of this. Make sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all the news and drama going on with Destiny 2 Beyond Light, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.